Hello guys and welcome to another video, and today it's a simulation of 2012 season in Cockpit Manager 2014. Let's go! So in round 1, which was the Australian Grand Prix, the home hero Mark Webber won the Grand Prix ahead of Jenson Button and Michael Schumacher. Then there was two Ferraris, Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso in 4th and 5th place respectively. Then the pole sitter Sebastian Vettel in 6th place. Then Lewis Hamilton in 7th. Nico Rosberg placed in 8th, Kamui Kobayashi finished in 9th, and the Finnish man of Kimi Raikkonen finished 10th. In Malaysia, Felipe Massa won from pole position, ahead of his Ferrari teammate Fernando Alonso. Then there was two Brits, Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button. 5th place was held by Sebastian Vettel, with Mark Webber 6th. Nico Rosberg and Michael Schumacher were 7th and 8th. Kamui Kobayashi once again got P9, and P10 got Nico Hülkenberg. China hosted the third round of the season, which was Sebastian Vettel's second pole position and Ferrari's second win. The race was won by Fernando Alonso, and in second place was Jenson Button, ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Then there were two Lotuses of Romain Grosjean and Kimi Raikkonen in P4 and P5. Nico Rosberg took the 6th place for Mercedes, and struggling Mark Webber got the P7. Paul di Resta and his teammate Nico Hülkenberg got a P8 and P9 respectively, with Bruno Senna grabbing the final point for Williams. Now, coming to the Bahrain, Sebastian Vettel actually got his third pole position, and Lewis Hamilton got his first win. Then he was followed by Mark Webber and Jenson Button on the podium. Paul di Resta placed in 4th, ahead of Michael Schumacher and Romain Grosjean in P5 and P6. P7 was held by the first Ferrari of Felipe Massa. Nico Rosberg got 8th, and Kamui Kobayashi got once again P9, with Kimi Raikkonen once again getting P10, which are small points for Kamui Kobayashi and Kimi Raikkonen, but in the end of the season they could do really big things. Now coming to Barcelona, Spain, we got Fernando Alonso's home race, which he dominated. He got pole position and won by over 20 seconds, but his Ferrari teammate was in 3rd, and Jenson Button is once again on the podium in P2. Michael Schumacher just edged out his teammate of Nico Rosberg in P4 and P5. Mark Webber got P6 and Kimi Raikkonen got P7, with the two Force Indias of Nico Hülkenberg and Paul di Resta respectively in P8 and P9, and Romain Grosjean got the final point. In the narrow streets of Monaco, Fernando Alonso once again grabbed pole position and win, ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Jenson Button on the podium. Paul di Resta and Lewis Hamilton got P4 and P5. Ex-Ferrari drivers of Kimi Raikkonen and Michael Schumacher got P6 and P7. Nico Hülkenberg placed in P8, just lost out to his teammate Paul di Resta, with Kamui Kobayashi getting P9, and 10th was Mark Webber. It was disappointment for him for sure. In the 7th round of the season, in Canada, it was once again pole position and win for the same driver, but this time it wasn't Fernando Alonso, it was Mark Webber, ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel, and once again it was Jenson Button on the podium. Then there was two Ferraris, Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso in P4 and P5 respectively, with Michael Schumacher in P6 just edging out on his fellow German Nico Hülkenberg in P7, with Kimi Raikkonen in P8, Paul di Resta in P9 and Kamui Kobayashi in P10. Now for the European Grand Prix, which was won by Sebastian Vettel, which is his first win of the season. He got first place ahead of Fernando Alonso, and surprisingly Paul di Resta, with Michael Schumacher, the pole sitter, which was his last pole position, finishing in P4, ahead of Kimi Raikkonen in P5 and Lewis Hamilton in P6. Schumacher's teammate Nico Rosberg got P7 and Jenson Button got P8. Paul di Resta's, the podium finisher, teammate Nico Hülkenberg got P9, and once again it's Bruno Senna in P10. The British Grand Prix was won by Mark Webber, the pole sitter, ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel. Then it was once again Force India on the podium, but today it was not Paul di Resta who finished in 9th, it was Nico Hülkenberg. In 4th there was home favourite Lewis Hamilton, closely followed by Kimi Raikkonen and Jenson Button. In P7 it was better of the Mercedes drivers, Michael Schumacher. In P8 there was his teammate, Nico Rosberg. And disappointing weekend for Ferrari as they only grabbed 1 point, and that was in P10, Felipe Massa. Now, heading out to the Germany. Home race for Nico Rosberg, his fellow Nico Hülkenberg, Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, but none of the drivers could win it. It was Fernando Alonso who won from pole position. Sebastian Vettel was the best of those 4 drivers. He was in P2. Jenson Button got P3 ahead of his fellow Brit, Paul di Resta. Felipe Massa got P5 with Lewis Hamilton finishing in P6. Then there was 2 Germans, Michael Schumacher in P7 and Nico Hülkenberg in P8. Then there was Roman Grosjean in P9 and 4th and final German and the final point scorer Nico Rosberg in P10. The 11th round of the season was in Hungary, and Felipe Massa won it ahead of his Ferrari teammate Fernando Alonso, with Nico Hülkenberg finishing in P3, ahead of Jenson Button and Paul di Resta. And Michael Schumacher got P6, ahead of Lewis Hamilton in P7. Mark Webber was the better of the 2 Red Bulls, finishing in P8. And the pole sitter Sebastian Vettel finished in P9. It has been a really disappointing start to a season for him and his teammate Mark Webber. The 10th place was held by Roman Grosjean in the Lotus. Formula 1 circus arrived in Belgium for the Spa Grand Prix, Spa-Francorchamps, and Fernando Alonso continued his dominance as he won from pole position. Jenson Button finished in P2 ahead of Roman Grosjean, his first podium of the season. Sebastian Vettel finished ahead of Felipe Massa in 4th. Lewis Hamilton finishes 6th, ahead of Paul di Resta. Michael Schumacher beat his Mercedes teammate of Nico Rosberg to P8, and Pastor Maldonado got his first points of the season, clinching P10. The Italian Grand Prix was won by Sebastian Vettel, his second win of the season, with Fernando Alonso finishing in 2nd, and the pole sitter Lewis Hamilton finishing in P3. Mark Webber got a P4 ahead of Nico Hülkenberg in P5. Roman Grosjean managed to finish in the points for a second race in a row and finishing P6, with Nico Rosberg just beaten out his teammate of Michael Schumacher to P7. Jenson Button struggled little bit and finished in P9, with Bruno Senna claiming the P10. Once again, it's 1 point for Williams. In the Singapore Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso won ahead of Sebastian Vettel, with Lewis Hamilton finishing in P3. Paul di Resta managed to climb up into P4, with Mark Webber finishing P5, which is disappointing for him as he started from pole position. Kimi Raikkonen finished in P6 and Nico Hülkenberg finished in P7. Jenson Button managed to finish in P8, with Alonso's teammate Felipe Massa finishing only in 9th, ahead of the Mercedes driver Nico Rosberg. The Japanese Grand Prix is no different, as Fernando Alonso won it from pole position, ahead of the 2 Brits Jenson Button in P2 and Paul di Resta in P3. Sebastian Vettel finished just ahead of Lewis Hamilton and got himself a P4. The 2 Mercedes drivers were so close once again, with Nico Rosberg being the better one, as he finished in P6 and his teammate finished in P7. Nico Hülkenberg finished in P8 and Kimi Raikkonen finished in P9, just ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, the home hero, in P10. In the Korea, no big surprise in qualifying, as Fernando Alonso clinched the pole position, but Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel managed to get the Red Bull 1-2 as Lewis Hamilton completed the podium, with Felipe Massa finishing just ahead of his Ferrari teammate in P4 and Jenson Button finishing in P6, ahead of the 2 Mercedes of Nico Rosberg and Michael Schumacher in P7 and P8. Then there was Lotus of Roman Grosjean and Sauber of the Japanese driver Kamui Kobayashi in P10. Now in the Grand Prix, Indian, Felipe Massa won from pole position, with Kimi Raikkonen finishing in P2 and Michael Schumacher finishing in P3, ahead of Paul di Resta and Nico Hülkenberg in the Force India car. Kamui Kobayashi got P6, ahead of Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton, and Jenson Button. And the final point scorer was Jean-Eric Verne in Toro Rosso. Now for the final Asian Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi, it was once again won by Fernando Alonso, who got pole position as well. But in P2 there is a big surprise. It's Paul Di Resta, ahead of his fellow Brit Lewis Hamilton, who just edged out his former rival Kimi Raikkonen, who got P4 in Lotus. Then it was two Red Bulls, Mark Webber in P5 and Sebastian Vettel in P6. Jenson Button dragged his McLaren up to P7 and Roman Grosjean finished in 8th, with Nico Hülkenberg being disappointed as his teammate finished in P2 and he only managed to finish P9. And closing off the points is Bruno Senna. Now coming to the American Grand Prix, there's a big surprise here. Paul Di Resta won it from pole position ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso. Jenson Button just edged out his McLaren teammate Lewis Hamilton and managed to finish in P4. Kimi Raikkonen finished in P6, with Mark Webber finishing in P7. Nico Hülkenberg was once again worst of the Force India drivers, finishing in P8, with Michael Schumacher finishing in P9 and Kamui Kobayashi finishing in P10. Now coming to the final race of the season in Brazil, there was a big surprise in qualifying as Nico Hülkenberg managed to get a pole, but it wasn't meant for him as his teammate Paul Di Resta clinched the win for Force India once again, and Kimi Raikkonen managed to put up a fantastic drive, finishing in P2 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and then the pole sitter Nico Rosberg. Sebastian Vettel managed to find himself in P5 ahead of the Ferrari of Felipe Massa. Mark Webber finished in P7 just ahead of Nico Rosberg. Jenson Button finished in P9, being the worst of the McLaren drivers, and Kamui Kobayashi just finished the last race of the season in P10. But Fernando Alonso is nowhere to be seen. I think he retired, but we'll see if this changes the championship standings. Here are the final standings, and it's been a big dominance by Fernando Alonso with 335 points, and second place Sebastian Vettel got 253, and Jenson Button managed to climb up into P3 with 222 points. You can stop it and check the rest if you want. I'm not gonna say it again. But while you looking at those standings, I just want to say that this is my first video of this format, and I think the flags could be better done. They are not as good to see as normally, and also there was a few typos, so I just want to say this now. And yeah, let's get now on the next slide. Sliding to the final standing of the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari won it, just not getting those 500 points, but they won it. Only teams to not score points are Caterham and Marussia, so you can stop it if you want, and if you don't want, then don't stop it. Now here are the statistics. We got 8 pole sitters, 6 race winners, and 11 people who finish on the podium. You can stop it if you want. And now I'm gonna say one thing, and that's goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give a like and subscribe. But this wasn't a perfect one, and I'm planning on doing one more simulation, maybe 2 more. And the first one is 1982 simulation, and that's gonna be better, trust me. So see ya in the next one. Haha.